take your time, look at it as potential investors would be a good opportunity to invest. Success have never taught me anything. Everything I've learned is through struggles. I don't even call it failure. It's not a death sentence, really. The importance is to have that long-term vision and be confident in what you're building. We haven't even done an IPO for Visual Vibe as yet.
Hi, guys. My name is Theon Sims, and welcome to the Limitless podcast. Joining us, as always, is your co host, Dr. Matthew Preston. Hail up the people, and Matthew.
Hey, guys, what's good?
Perfect. And today we have a special guest. As you can see, is in his car, right? The president, CEO, and chairman of Kintyre Holdings, right? Tyrone Wilson. Welcome to the show, Tyrone. Blessings.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's been a long time coming. In fact, I was actually recently looking back on our episode before. We had a episode where we spoke about Kintyre Holdings. We kind of break it down in our series called Tickers. And yeah, I think that's how we
Awesome.
initially got connected. And if you look in the comments, there's somebody that said, Tyrone interview now. There's a jam down there. So yeah, I'm glad you could actually
Speak it
be
into
here.
being.
Yes, speak it into being. Thank you, guys. So bless up, Tyrone. How are you? How you doing?
Giving thanks.
Giving thanks indeed. We were discussing privately about your financials because to us it looks like this is the first full year where you're profitable. It's like the turnaround year. I see Kintyre basically swung to a 72 million net profit in 2024. After that's on the backbone of a $154 million loss in 2023. Yes. So talk to us about that. Like, what are, let's say, 2 to 3, decisions that move the needle the most?
Okay. Well, I think overall it's the move from iCreate to Kintyre that really allowed us to kind of look at things more broadly and tap into the opportunities that pretty much are around us. So outside of the Visual Vibe, which I'll come to, just moving from a creative group of companies to an investment holding companies, it allowed us to really tap into some of the assets that we have. It allowed us to do broader partnerships / acquisitions, like the parallel real estate project and so forth, that real estate company. And that opened up a number of opportunities for us. Also, if you look at the audited, you compare 2024 to 23, you will see a noticeable reduction in expenses, and you'll also see a higher gross profit margin. Sorry. So those kind of enabled us to reach the level of profitability that we're at, and also just being more growth focused, and ensuring that way. So that's really 3. But lastly, like just improving on the governance side of things. So governance has been like the backbone of what we've been able to achieve. Over the years we haven't been able to really put much resources in that because we've been focused on trying to grow. But now, for 2024 and even 2025, we're able to invest a lot more time and effort in that.
Okay,
Excellent.
Because
yes.
I mean, I'm sure everyone has, Kintyre, you guys have gone through some tough times, just like a lot of companies. It's funny. People would say, oh, Kintyre has gone through some tough times, but even, very big companies like broilers, other stuff, they're going through it.
Yeah, everybody.
What would you say would be like some of the key lessons that you learned going through these times, and then how are you trying to apply these lessons going forward?
Okay. So, I mean, I'm guys, I'm a student of entrepreneurship, to be honest. These are things that I've read, researched, and witnessed firsthand, in terms of businesses struggling to understand that, it's not a death sentence, really. The the importance is to have that long-term vision and be confident in what you're building. Every business at some point in time in their journey go through this. I did a documentary in 2012 called 50 Years of Entrepreneurship, which featured some of the greatest entrepreneurs we've seen, coming out of independence, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the Danny Williams, who started the first life insurance company, Dennis Layla, who started the first insurance company, Robert Levy from Jamaica Broilers, Maurice Facey, Panjam, even Dennis O'Brien, we interviewed too in New York. And the one common thing that I saw was that all of these businesses went through their turbulent times, right? Life of Jamaica went through it in the 90s with the financial meltdown. Jamaica Broilers experienced it in the 80s with Hurricane Gilbert. It literally flattened their business. Everybody at their moment where, whether it's external or internal factors, they've experienced some struggle in their business. So for me, I've been looking a lot more at those things from before. I read a book in sixth form called Crisis Leadership, and it's just coincidence that I don't know, my mind was just, I saw it on the ship. What was it, Lotus? That ship that normally come to Jamaica, or the book.
Logos.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the logos. Yeah.
yeah, I've
that
been
book.
on it.
It's the one book I got there, and it's the first time I ever went, and it's called Crisis Leadership. And I read that book a long time ago, and I don't know, like it kind of stuck in my head. And we have an environment that's focused on beating down entrepreneurs when they struggle. But the truth is, it's part of the game. It's part of any game we're involved in. So I've learned a lot. I've been experienced it myself. And the one, I don't even would say I have a lot of lessons. I also say the one thing is stay focused and persevere, right? Like, it's just, you have to be committed to your vision, right? Once you have the long-term view and what you want to achieve for the company, and you see that you're getting there in spite of the struggles, just don't stop. And that's my views on it. And it's not just entrepreneurship, it's everything in general, right? It's your career, it's sports, it's whatever it is. You just have to continue.
100%. I would also call myself like a serial mistake maker, because that's just that's how you learn in life.
Yes.
It happens.
Mm.
I hear people say, they fear failure and so on, but I think the true growth is when you embrace failure, because it's just a part of the process.
Yeah,
You can't win every time.
I said it to one of my colleagues the other day, that success have never taught me anything, right? Everything I've learned is through struggles. I don't even call it failure. Everything I've experienced is through, everything I've learned
Hmm.
from, sorry, is through the hard times, right? That's when you start to reflect and pull back and say, okay, what did I do wrong here, X, Y, Z. When you're successful, you don't have time to assess your actions. In your mind, your actions are working, so why audit them, right?
Hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
success has not taught me anything. So if it wasn't for the hard times, then we wouldn't be growing and moving to new heights. So that's the best way I look at it. I mean, we don't want to experience too much, but at the end of the day, when you do, the mindset is, keep focus.
Mm-hmm.
Truly.
Yeah.
One of the
Definitely.
things you said in terms of the decisions, that move the needle, and you're talking about the admin bill. So when I looked through it, it fell by roughly like 100, and it fell significantly. Like I think I'm about 130 mil, give or
Yes.
take year on year. What cuts or efficiencies made that possible, and
Well,
are they sustainable?
the truth is there was a one-off in that. Um, for the acquisition related expenses, right? Which was about $100 million or $110 million. That because the accounting rules, the IFRS principles have changed a lot as it relates to accounting for acquisitions. prior to now, or prior to that period or a couple of years before, all expenses associated with an acquisition was capitalized. But now that has changed to, you know, some other expenses, I think, like legal and accounting expenses are now run through the P&L. So those were accounted for there, but that's a one-off. But generally, we've still been able to significantly reduce our expenses, and that's just really the synergies. Being, you know, one, when we move to a digital and creative group of companies that I create, and then two, now being an investment holding company. We set up what is called a center of excellence that serve pretty much all of our subsidiaries, divisions, business units, and we staff it with the respective people. You know, it's focused on operations, sales, tech, and a few others, finance and accounting. So those enable us to build a unit that work across all the businesses. So instead of staffing each entity with all the different, you know, roles and duplicating our efforts and being so small as an investment holding company, that structure was important to enable us to really, you know, reduce costs extensively. And then, you know, Visual Vibe is a real profit maker too. But one of the things we ensure that we have was to take a look at the cost build up and see how within the first 2 years or so of acquisition we can reduce expenses a bit so that we can reinvest in capital expenditures. So that has enabled us to keep our costs low, but not only that, but increase our revenues and grow our net profit margin.
Okay. So you spoke about, you know, having that, I guess, long-term vision,
Yes.
or that goal that helps you to, like, you know, stay on track.
Right.
So for Kintyre, where do you see Kintyre possibly at some different time periods? So one would be the next year, two would be the next 3 years, and then the next 10 years after that.
Well, the last time I spoke about the 10 years, we got some backlash, but I'm still going to come to that. But the next year, which is really this year, since our audit, is to build out the other areas of the company. You know, we've been, since acquiring Visual Vibe May 2023, we've been focused on one, improving the quality of the screens. So we've been changing out some of the old ones. We've upgraded Mana Park, Alpha Tree. We've had partnerships, so that enable us to, you know, bring better quality to Portmore, and we're expanding, right? So that is critical. Two is to,
I think you guys also mentioned Emancipation Park as well as
yes,
one of them that you're looking at.
Right. So we're in the process of upgrading Emancipation now. It has not been completed, but we're in the process of that. Secondly, with Visual Vibe, you know, it's to kind of build a sales culture there. It's a solid businesses. The previous owners have done a tremendous job in really bringing in stable long-term revenues. So that give us the opportunity, unlike other areas of Kintyre, to really have a long-term view of the business. So rather than trying to survive, you know, on a daily basis and so forth, you know, when you're profitable and you're churning out cash, the way that Visual Vibe is, it gives you the opportunity to focus on some of the areas that can really allow you to produce more. So we started building a sales culture there, and then most importantly, it's the kind of innovation culture, and that is to introduce other revenue streams. So we've brought in like digital backpacks that were the street promotions. We've gone into digital indoor advertising with some vertical and horizontal screens. So all of these things have really put us in a position to look at a platform for growth with Visual Vibe. So that's the focus this year. We're seeing good results from it. New clientele that is on board, and then, you know, we now have the real estate company that I was a part of before, Parallel, and that I create at a joint venture with, and then bringing that within the fold, owning 51%, is giving us an opportunity now to invest in hard assets. So we have the chalet project in St. Ann. We've invested approximately $1 million USD into at value to grow that business, and we've had some. We're exploring options. So one option might be to sell the project as is. We have some offers on the table. Another that we've been benefiting from now is capital gains from that. So realize unrealized gains, for example, the increased valuation of the property and so forth. So um, we're building out all of that this year. Over the next 3 to 10 years, really, I've said it before that we're looking to build a global business, right? So whether it was I Create and now Kintyre Holdings, the principles that drive us, that motivates me and get me up daily, is really that, like Jamaica is a very solid country in terms of globally, to stand out globally, right? We've seen it in our music. We've introduced genre music that some countries only thought of and imagine and dream about. We have reggae, ska, dancehall, mento. Um, we introduced those to the world, right? We are the best in the world with track and field, and outside of music, just our general culture. I know we stand out as a country of 3 million people and a diaspora equal that size. I think that we can do the same in business, and we shouldn't allow anything to tell us otherwise. So for me, the junior stock exchange is not the arrival point for Kintyre. For me, it's really to build something that can be listed on the Nasdaq, the New York Stock Exchange, and it's a long-term play. And that's why I spoke earlier about, as long as you have the vision for your business, you understand that struggling is a part of the game. So that's really where I'm looking to take my business. So, the next 3 years, I see us really, my plan is to grow revenue to 1 billion by then, billion J, and then by the 10 years, it's 1 billion USD. Those are the things I have to be looking at, and you have it measurable. What gets measured gets done, and you put in the strategies in place and get the right people. And one of the things we're doing now at Kintyre is to hire a global workforce, right? Individuals who have experience operating in various parts of the economy around the world. So right now we hire people from the Philippines, work with people from Dubai, the US, you name it, because we're building a global workforce, and we're doing that, month by month, quarter by quarter, and building out that vision. So that's how I see the business. It's going to stay an investment holding company. A lot of people don't know that Kintyre was conceptualized before I Create. So it has been a play long before. But having gone through what went through in 23 and early part of 24, I decided to trigger the move sooner than later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big goals, long-term goals too.
Yes,
I love
yes,
that.
indeed.
Yeah, man, that's right on brand with us with the limitless goals. So yeah.
Exactly. No limits.
hmm No limits. That's
Yeah.
it. You spoke about the chalet project in Saint Anne, and when I was
Yes.
looking through the financials, I saw an $85 million investment property. Is
Yes.
is that the chalet project in Saint Anne, something separate, or and what's the? I know you spoke about the different um, targets, whether you could sell it. Sorry about my background, but whether you could,
Yeah, man, that's right.
there are different options that can happen with chalet.
Yes.
Is there? And we've seen different Gleaner articles or so on like completion. Is there like a timeline on completion as well?
No. Because so the 85 million is the property itself, what it's valued at now. We
Mm-hmm.
initially acquired that for like 22.5 million. So where we're at now, in 22, 23, and even early part in 24, we had certain timelines as to how we see that being completed. But with everything that
Mm-hmm.
we went through during that 2 year period, it made it a little bit more difficult for us to access the right financing to execute the project. We have some opportunities on the table that we're exploring, but the time value of money is a key part of our decision making. We started embarking on this project in early 2022, and we're now in 2025. So even though we might make a good sizable cash return upon completion, when we just look at the rate of return over that, it might be 5 year, no, 5 year period. It might not be a worthwhile investment or the best use of our money economically. So, it's either we look to expand that project beyond what it is now,
Mm-hmm.
to double the profits, or if that's not possible, we look at probably a joint venture in that project. Two or three, we sell the project, right? And we're more leaning towards number three. So we exploring that now, but it's a really good project, and completing it would be a really good milestone for us at Kintyre and Parallel. So it's a hard decision to make. So it's something we're all teams or investment committee or different boards and so looking at.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So I think a notice came out maybe, I don't know, a month or two or earlier this year,
Mm-hmm.
speaking that you guys are, considering, or the board will soon meet to, I guess, consider like a rights issue,
Yes.
you know. Um, with rights issues, it's been a while since I guess we've had, I think the last rights issue was probably Fosterich. There have been
Yes.
a lot of additional public offerings or APOs. What
SPO.
made, yeah, what made why exactly did you guys choose a rights issue, or to possibly consider a rights issue versus an additional public offering?
I think it's the loyalty and commitment to our existing shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
As we know, the difference between the APOs and the rights issue is that with the rights issue, the shareholders get an opportunity to protect themselves from dilution, right? By
Mm-hmm.
way of taking up their rights. In an
Mm-hmm.
APO, those rights are not protected. And, we listed in 2019. And to be honest, we've had a solid fraction of it. We've had a loyal shareholder base. People who have gone through the highs and the lows, and whatever opportunity we have to ensure that they get to recoup their investments, because our stock price is at an all-time low now. So whatever opportunity we have for them to recoup their investments, or to find new ways of profiting from our initiatives and from their investment, we're going to consider them first,
Mm-hmm.
and everything after. So we're to be honest, an APO SPO might be, which is the same thing by the way, might be easier.
Yeah.
But the truth is, and easier because there are individuals out there that could participate in that race without any restrictions. We still want to put our shareholders first. And I think that will give us an opportunity to really, you know, uh, continue to build a loyalty in terms of our shareholder base, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is what we want to strengthen. It has moved from 827 at IPO, 819, sorry, at IPO, to like 3,300 today. So the shareholder base has grown, and you know, people don't make these decisions lightly, to invest in a company, especially a startup like I create. So it would be stupid of us to really not put our shareholders first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
well said. Well
Yeah.
said. I like companies that put shareholders first because
Yes.
that makes me feel more comfortable investing in a company like that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
critical.
quite. I will also say, so when the capital raise happens and so on, do you have any plans for the money? Are there any acquisitions on the horizon? Any acquisitions that you probably want to double down on? Because I've seen that, with iCreate, with Kintyre Holdings, my apologies.
Mm-hmm.
Kintyre it's a holding company. So,
Right.
I see the business model, you buy a stake in a company and you get a return on that company in
Right.
different ways.
Right.
So there's even Get Paid, we haven't really spoken about. There are a bunch of other companies that you might be eyeing as well. Do you
Yes.
have plans for the cash to go in a particular industry or a particular company?
Well, we're we're always in acquisition mode. Number one, we're always in joint venture mode. We're always in merger mode. So M&A is a key cornerstone of our growth plans, right? However, when you look at what we have now, we have parallel real estate ventures, which is way down the road in a very lucrative real estate project, right? It started out as a 8-bedroom project. Sorry, a 8-unit project. Three 1-bedrooms, 3 2-bedrooms, 2 3-bedrooms is what it started out as, and now increasing to 26 units, right? And that project is far down the road, and it has increased in value significantly. So we have strong real estate skill sets as individuals that started this thing recently, right? We have some good partners. That's worthwhile investing in right now. 2, visual vibe. I can say that our screens, our digital screens, majority of the key locations are at capacity. Like, we can't take on any more new advertisers in quite a few of them. So modus operandi is to increase the number of locations, which we're in progress with now. So we have the partnership with NGAP, who is in the business of acquiring screens, and they're leveraging the Visual Vibe network to introduce more locations, and we do a revenue share. That partnership exists, and of course our key strategy is to acquire more screens, whether outdoor, indoor, backpacks, and grow our locations, right? So we'll have a couple of businesses that are far off from being where they need to be. Everything we're building now at Kintyre is that it's a global business. Everything we're doing now, and everything we're involved in now, is just in one country, which is which is Jamaica. So we want to look at, I did a mission in Dubai. The digital auto market there is huge in terms of the opportunities. We've seen them there. We've had meetings with a few, Miami, New York, Mexico, you name it, Brazil. Those are some strong markets for digital auto home, and we're looking at those too. And then, of course, with real estate, if you can execute and complete a real estate project in Jamaica, best believe you can do it almost anywhere else. So we have some businesses now that are in the first gear in terms of their growth plans, and we want to see how far they can go by moving how fast we can go, right? And then, of course, we are looking to have holdings in a number of other industries: healthcare, tourism, and hospitality. We just acquired 20% of 7, and we're renovating that to reintroduce. So that's hospitality. Also, tech. We have the joint venture for the Island Run food delivery app. Well, everything app, as I would like to call it. And it's, we have a small team, but a very capable one. We have some good ideas, and we have a few profitable subsidiaries. So now it's all about deploying capital prudently, and that's what we focus on. And I think if we work off the foundation that we've built for 2024, I don't see why we won't achieve even better in 2025.
Okay, nice.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
Read
think.
the
Oh, go
oh
ahead,
go
Preston.
then. Oh,
No,
read
no,
the
no. You can
chalet
go ahead.
project. How is it like a percentage completion that you guys have reached?
So our focus was completing the infrastructure. So we got that property, and again, it was a focus on our kind of investment philosophies. We weren't flush with cash in 2022, and we've never been flush with cash really. But we had ambitions of going into real estate, right? We found this property for $22 million. 22 million, and we've grown it to where it's at today. And that's, if you look at the tagline for Kintyre Holdings, it's see, believe, achieve. And that leads also our investment philosophy, where we see an opportunity, we put in the work, we do the research, we apply the different methods to, that really is built on our belief around that idea. And all of that results in achieving our success. So it's not just a tagline, it's really a way of life. So we're able to find, until we're able to get the level of capital needed to grow this company, we have to take the tagline very literal, right? At Kintyre Holdings to enable us to reach where we want to. So with the chalet, if you had look on that land, you would not buy it, right? It was all rocks. It was hilly.
Mm,
A whole dilapidated, rundown community that was not occupied was pretty much in front of it. But we decided to go for it nonetheless. And the minute we started building on the infrastructure, that dilapidated unit in front of us, we started painting, redo the roofs, everything. It's beautiful now there. So that has increased the property value right around it, right? On top of that, all of the rocks and everything that we dug out of the development were reused for the retaining walls. So we have been able to bootstrap our way into real estate, which is very rare. It's a cash intensive sector. Um, but
true.
using the principles that we have, we've been able to bootstrap that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it has brought us to where we are now. And that's the type of principle that we're driving with Kintyre Holdings that will enable us to do what we need to do. So with the chalet, we've been building out the infrastructure. So the retaining walls, the roads, all of that. It's a lot of work because of the slope of the property and everything. But it's, before it's bush up now, but before it's the progress has been really beautiful, and the progress is still there. So, that is where we are now. But because of the infrastructure work, the truth is we've still completed, I would say maybe 30% of the project, because the infrastructure is a heavy lifting part of it. Everything is smooth after that.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks
Because
like
one,
it was in a nice area. I think Preston put it. There was a map you
Yeah,
put up, and it's like right by the Rio Bueno River and so on.
yeah,
So,
man, and it's right by the
and the
Bengal
renderings look
Beach too.
nice.
Yeah, man, thank
Yeah,
you. And
yeah, man, the
all
render.
residents would have access to a private beach across the road. So it's a really good, quiet location with a
Mm-hmm.
vacation home, a retirement home, a Airbnb, right in the tourist center of everything, with excellent views. So, you have a panoramic view of the ocean, and
Yeah,
it's a good project. Yeah.
yeah, it looks very clean indeed.
Thank you, guys.
'cause one of the other things, I would definitely say you guys are very resourceful. I remember, I think, was it middle of last year or so? There was a fire at I think it's Pure
Pure eye.
Ice building. Yeah. And then I think
Yes,
they were like
yes.
the main manufacturer in Jamaica of ice. And so there was like a huge ice shortage because all the
Mm-hmm.
parties and events needed ice. And then I saw, you guys were like, hey,
Gonna
yes,
jump
it's
on
horrible
this.
that this happened, but we, never waste a good crisis. And I guess
Yes,
that came back. What was the book you had said? Crisis.
leadership.
Uh, Yeah.
crisis
So,
leadership. Yeah. So
so
and that's true. I mean,
how's that going?
so the ice market is very interesting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
since our interest in going into it, we've done a lot of research, meeting with some very large distribution and manufacturing companies in the US around ice, the different types of ice, party ice, block ice, that's used in construction a lot, dry ice, it's used in the medical and tourism field a lot too,
Mm-hmm.
sculpture ice for events. Um, it's a very broad industry, right? And I think that for us, it's an eye opener. I mean, obviously, we're wishing the Pure Ice team all the best in terms of bringing back their factory. And we've done some research, and it's a very lucrative market. So we're in the process of moving into that now. Initially, we were thinking of bootstrapping our way through it, like everything else. Then in our researching, it seemed as if we could do a lot more than just bootstrapping. So we've taken a step back to do more research in it, but something that we're definitely gonna be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So taking our time on it.
In terms
We
of,
can continue
you know,
until I'll tell you when it's
uh,
closer down.
awesome. So,
Yeah.
say I'm a shareholder, I'm a current shareholder of Kintyre, or I'm someone who was considering buying your stock now. What
Yeah.
would you, if you're, what would you say to me?
Wait and see. Joking. I would say that no is the best time to go in. And it's not just because it's my company, but we've seen where without all of what we're doing now, the stock reached at $1.5, right? We're talking about during that era about a 500% increase, and it was a testament to the belief that individuals had in the vision for the company, regardless of all the crazy talk by other individuals. If a stock price is going up, it's one thing, right? People have an interest in the business, whether to make profit short term or see it as a long term holding, right? So the stock moving from 80 cents in 2022 to at $1.5 is an indication of the belief that people have in our company, right? And now it's at, I don't even know, it's like what, 30 cents now,
Mm,
which is significantly lower. But I'm way more profitable entity now with stronger holdings like Visual Vibe and real tangible assets like Parallel and a way stronger balance sheet, right? If you look at our balance sheet, we're almost at a billion in size. During that time in 2022, I believe we're under 150 million, if that much, right? And now we're 8 times, 10 times in terms of our balance sheet size. We're multiples in terms of the revenue, and we've swung from losses upon losses to profit and no turning back from that. So now is a good time to invest in the company. But I would also encourage our shareholders to continue to hold us accountable, right? In a way that will be accepted. This market is sometimes too nasty, and people, tend to say some things that I will never condone, right? So, um, but for those who have all intentions of growing their portfolio, people understand investing, who know that sometimes it's a short-term investment, it's a long-term investment, who understand that businesses go through tough times, but you're still going to hold the leaders accountable in a very mannerable way. It can be firm, but still respectful. I've seen it way too much where people, it's a small country, so we have to be mindful of how we do things. We can't try to replicate the US. I can be in Omaha saying something and nobody will ever see me for their entire life. In Jamaica, at one point in time, you're gonna need to call somebody for a favor or whatever. So we have to be kind of different as how we approach things. But nonetheless, it is what it is. But for those who are looking for a bargain, I would say that Kintyre is a bargain now, right? It's a profitable entity. It has a very strong balance sheet. If you look at it, you've seen our debt have been reduced significantly. We don't have any
Significantly true.
short and long term debt there. Um, our assets have grown from 100 million to 850, 60 million. Not looking at it. It's a stable business now, right? It's a stable business, and we haven't even done an IPO for Visual Vibers yet. So the sky is the limit, right? And that's what I would say. Take your time, look at it as potential investors. Look at it. Rights issue would be a good opportunity to invest because obviously it will be coming at further discounts. So that would be a good opportunity to invest in the company. Look at us over the next few quarters, ask a question, engage, and hold us accountable. But I stand behind the fact that it's a worthwhile investment.
So Tyrone, the question we ask almost every CEO that comes on the show: if there's a stock that you like, any stock that you like on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, anything that's listed and it's not Kintyre Holdings,
And why?
could you name? Yeah, could you name why? Yeah, why you like it and what that stock is?
NCB, that's like a foundation of our economy.
Mm-hmm.
It's led by a very um, kind, entrepreneurial, and savvy individual in Michael Leachin, who has a global view, somebody that all of us aspire to be in. And regardless of what the stock price is at today, I think it's a value. And even if it's tripled tomorrow, it is still a bargain. So that's the stock I'll be putting my money in for sure. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, man. And it's a good project, good podcast. I've watched it a few times, so continue the good work.
Thank you,
Thank you.
really appreciate it.
All right,
All
thank
right,
you.
Limitless. Oh.
Peace.